Hello, I'm Daniel, and welcome to my YouTube channel. We here at the channel are continuing in our series of videos with respect to information, inspiration, education, guidance, advice. And I want to continue on with a topic we were discussing in previous videos, that of envy, jealousy, desire, craving, coveting. And I recently had an opportunity to discuss this very subject with a very perceptive young lady. Now, we were discussing the whole concept of jealousy and envy. In modern parlance, they're interchangeable, but appreciate the difference. Envy is when you desire something that someone else has. Jealousy is when you protect what you have and try to keep everyone else away from it. A jealous husband. He wants his wife only to himself and is very suspicious and always on the lookout that someone else should have what he in his mind possesses. So envy is desiring what somebody else has. Jealousy is protecting and hanging on to what you do have to the exclusion of everyone else. Okay. So we, as often happens, happen to have a Chumash in front of us, the Chumash being the selections of the Bible that are read in synagogue. And we were, this was an offshoot of another discussion we have about the Parshas Pinchas. This is in the book of Numbers, where Pinchas, in Christian Bibles, he's called Phineas, kills two people who are making out in front of the entrance to the tabernacle, and rather than being criticized for killing these two people, it says in chapter 25, verse 11 of the book of Numbers, when he zealously avenged my vengeance among them. And it was this verse and this concept of envy and jealousy that kicked off the conversation, just putting you in the picture here. So Rashi, commenting on this verse, 25:11 of the verse of the book of Numbers, where it talks about God's jealousy and his vengeance. He avenged my vengeance. He says, defining the word, the Hebrew word kina, jealousy, envy, righteous indignation. Rashi writes that any form of this word, kina, any variation, any form of the word kina in the Torah, refers to the individual who settles a score to avenge the vengeance of a matter. So Rashi here is teaching us a profound lesson. The fact that all references in the Torah to this word kina, refer to vengeance, settling a score, implies that even when one person is jealous of another, when he's envious of another, when one neighbor has a nicer car or a nicer house than another, it's not merely envy, it's vengeance. And so, how do we understand this, Rashi? How does it go from coveting something to avenging something? If anything, if a person has better clothes, better jewelry, a better house, a better car, better whatever, a person, the envious person, feels hurt, he feels pain that he doesn't have what his neighbor has. But how is this hurt transformed into vengeance? So it was Rav Matisyahu Solomon who posits that in order to understand this Rashi, you need to delve into some basic human psyche, examine the nature of an individual who is envious of another person. What motivates this envy, and how does he reach that point, and what is it related to vengeance, to revenge? We need to take into account the anomaly that seems to stand out with respect to this character trait, the envious person. In regard to any other desire, craving, lust, if someone desires, craves something, whether it's smoking or drinking or alcohol or food, sex, whatever you can think of, once the person obtains the object of that craving, he's generally satisfied and he goes back to his previous mood. That's not the case with envy. It's not the case with someone who covets the possession of someone else. When someone envies something that another person possesses, the focus of the envy immediately transfers from the object he desires, the car, the house, the job, whatever. It transfers from that to the person who possesses it. He begins to envy and hate him. So a person has, again, a car. A person has this really, really nice car, and this is a car that the envious person has always wanted. So now his neighbor, his friend, has the very car of his dreams. The focus of the envy in this sort of situation, that desire, that craving, that wanting to possess that object, transfers from the car to the owner of the car, to the neighbor who now owns the car, the person who acquires the object. Even if he gets the same car himself, that resentment is still there. It's transferred from the object to the person. That's not the same with other cravings. So if a person is having a really, really nice dinner, and you really want that, you resent the person. Even if you somehow get the same dinner, fine, your hunger, that's maybe sated, but that resentment, that lingers on. So a number of steps establish the foundation of this kind of envy, this kind of jealousy. One observes the object in someone else's possession for which you have a desire. That's understandable. Now, let's follow the psychology of what happens. He says to himself, my friend has something that I don't have. Then he says, I deserve such an item. He's no better than I am. Why does he get it? The third step, he feels that indeed he is more deserving of it than his friend. So not only is that, well, he's no better, then I deserve that more than he does. He feels that he is more deserving of ownership than his friend and begins to imagine that, in truth, this object should have been his in the first place. Then it goes on. He now wonders, what's he doing with my object? What's he doing with my car? Finally, he gets carried away. These things snowball. He gets carried away by his imagination, and he becomes angry that his friend stole somehow the object. He has what is in actual fact mine. He now becomes enraged with the individual who now used to be his friend, his former friend, who was this thief, and he seeks vengeance from him. He needs to settle the score. And this is the meaning of the Rashi, the statement, and the word kina, commonly translated as jealousy, envy, and contains in it an overpowering component of vengeance. This, sadly, all too common, is human nature. It starts off with a desire for something, his friend has something, then it focuses onto the person, it turns into a resentment because he somehow has my thing, I'm more deserving of him, he's got my thing, and then you want to settle the score. And that's the chain, the psychological chain of events, the chain of feelings that leads from envy to righteous indignation, and eventually to vengeance, to somehow even the score. We're going to be doing more videos along these lines. Please come back, please watch, please learn. And until next time, I'm Daniel, and thank you too much.